Good morning. This is KELOLAND on the go with all you need to know in news and weather as you start your day.
A Brandon man has been identified in a deadly crash in Lincoln County last week. The South Dakota Department of Public Safety says it happened just after 4 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, 6 miles south of T on Interstate 29. A pickup was northbound when it left the road and struck a guardrail.
The pickup went airborne and into the overpass pillar. 39-year-old Lucas Reimers died at the scene. There was no one else inside the pickup. The South Dakota Highway Patrol is investigating the crash. Authorities have identified the 2 men killed in a crash west of Salem last week. The South Dakota Department of Public Safety says it happened just after 11 o'clock Wednesday morning on South Dakota Highway 38.
A pickup was westbound when it collided with an eastbound car. The driver of the pickup, 72-year-old Gerald Snoozy, and driver of the car, 77-year-old Gilbert Schuckhart, died. There were no passengers in either vehicle. A Sheldon man and woman are facing a list of charges after being arrested over the weekend. On Friday, Sheldon police learned that a warrant subject was at a home in the 200 block of 8th Street. Around 1 o'clock Saturday morning, 4 people from the home were taken into custody. The home was searched and evidence from several thefts in Sheldon was found.
Drugs and other items were also found inside the home. 44-year-old Gabriel Treviso and 37-year-old Priscilla Gonzalez are facing theft and drug charges. The incident remains under investigation and several other charges are pending.
Now let's get a check of our weather with meteorologist Scott Mudd. Good morning, Scott.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Another warm day today. Temperatures easily into the 40s for afternoon highs. This will happen with partly cloudy skies and relatively light winds. We'll have a high of 45 today in Sioux Falls, 42 in Huron, 43 in Aberdeen, 42 in Pierre, and 44 in Rapid City. By the time we get into Friday, it will be windy, much colder, too. Friday is looking like the coldest day of the work week. But before we get to Friday, on Wednesday, there's a chance to see snow. We'll have more details on your forecast with Brian coming up.
KELOLAND's Lauren Solik and Dan Centella have a new set of stories planned for us on their recent trip to the Lower Brule and Crow Creek reservations in central South Dakota.
There are at least 14 reports in the works, and the first 2 will air tonight.
We reached out to federal agencies, state agencies, county agencies, and the surrounding towns and asked for help, but no response from anyone. And so I came to the council and I told them that we're in this alone and we have to act accordingly. There's nobody going to come and save us.
We'll have much more from Tribal Chairman Peter Langkeek and other tribal leaders coming up later today on KELOLAND News. A Sioux Falls church combined football and faith throughout its services on Super Bowl Sunday. For the last 3 years, Embrace Church has hosted NFL players for their Super Sunday service. This year's speaker was former Ravens running back Justin Forsett.
Throughout the services, Forsett spoke about the obstacles and hardships he faced throughout his career and how his faith helped him.
So instead of ignoring it, let's lean into it. And so the last 3 years, we brought in an NFL player, and it's just been so cool to see faith connect with football. And more than that, God connect with life.
Other athletes who have visited the church include NFL players C.J. Ham and Chad Beebe. Well, with the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, one Sioux Falls bar served as a hub for fans to watch the big game. Fans packed into the Gateway Lounge to watch the Chiefs against the 49ers. While faithful fans catch each game at the bar, the Super Bowl brings an extra buzz.
It's something they've gotten used to in recent years, with Kansas City being in the Super Bowl 4 times in the last 5 seasons. After decades between titles, the Chiefs have become accustomed to playing on the game's biggest stage.
For 20 years, we didn't have, a lot of Chiefs up. Now that the Chiefs are good with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, you can see the crowd. People are excited.
The Chiefs walked away with a 25-22 win over the 49ers. Kansas City, the first team in almost 20 years to win consecutive titles.
That's a look at some of our top stories.
Now let's get one last look at your weather with meteorologist Brian Karstens. Brian?
All right, our weather update here today. Well, looking at some snow in the west. We've been kind of tracking that here throughout the morning, and it's mainly in the northern Black Hills primarily, and the moisture values in Rapid City, probably not too much today. I wouldn't really bank on that, but temperatures in the 40s, yeah, I think we'll be there today. Most areas of KELOLAND, you can see in the northeast, some 30s will kind of linger. And then for the overnight, these patches of clouds could thicken up enough to the point where we do brew up a little moisture on radar. right now our assumption is whatever is falling out of this, some of this is going to evaporate, most likely, so it might look worse on radar than it actually is. But I can't rule out even a little bit of those interesting little darker streaks of virga in the sky over Sioux Falls tomorrow afternoon. And, we'll have highs here in the mid to upper 40s. Still sounds like false spring to me, but let's see what happens into Wednesday. Can we develop some snow? Well, Futurecast is actually giving us some pretty decent chances of a band of accumulating snow. Now, when are we talking about that? I would say Wednesday morning. Let's start off with Rapid City and the Black Hills, and then kind of looking at a band of snow that'll try to develop a little farther to the east. You notice it's fairly compact, and we're not talking a big widespread storm, so that's not in the forecast. But you also have to remember that with a band like this and those feeder impulses from the south kind of wrapping into this system, there could be some pretty effective snowfall rates during the day on Valentine's Day. And I would be inclined to kind of keep that to a fairly localized band, but it does tend to march closer to Sioux Falls, throughout the afternoon into the evening. So kind of keep that thought in the back of your mind as you plan your midweek plans here centered around Valentine's. We could end up with some snow. We may actually get another little push of that in Rapid City. Our 7-day forecast reflects that. And then to top it all off, we're probably looking at a batch of colder weather with some winds, and might even have to talk about the wind chill factor a little bit. There are the odds of an inch of snow. Yeah, probably to reach that level, pretty good. To get over 3, that's a little more debatable, but it's something we'll continue to reevaluate as we get through the forecast today. So keep checking us out here online, of course, and on air. We'll have more information as we go forward. 44 today in Rapid City. Your 7-day forecast, by and large here, highs tumbling a little bit. Upper 20s and low 30s at the end of the week. Check out details online at KELLERLAND.com.